Alright everyone, in this video we are going to talk about the opening range breakout. So this is known as orb. I've done a few videos on the channel regarding the opening range breakout. So basically what this is we are going to trade it a little bit different, but we are waiting for the first 30-minute candle of the New York Open to be done. So basically when the first 30 minutes candle is done at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, we are going to wait for the high and the low to be formed. And then what we want to wait for price to either break through the highs or the lows. So when, for example, we broke through the lows, we want a reversal with a inverse fair value gap so that we can close above an inverse fair value gap and then target our way to the opposite direction. If price takes out the high, we want to do the exact same thing. We want to wait for price to break. We want to wait for a reversal of inverse fair value gap to form, and then we want to continue the opposite direction. So basically it's going to look something like this and something like this. So fair value gap has formed, price broke through and closed above it. This is going to be an inverse fair value gap. We're going to enter, and then we're going to target a fixed 1 till 5 or 1 till 2 risk to reward trade. Same on the upside. But the important part of everything, we need to wait for this first 30-minute candle to finish first before we start looking at any trade. First 30-minute candle. And after the first 30 minutes have done, we are going to go down to the 5-minute, and then we are going to look for our entries. So let's go straight to the charts and let's look at a few examples. Alright, so you can see the orb is forming. So the green line is the high of the first 30-minute candle of New York Open, and the red line is the low. So we want to wait to see if price goes to the upside or downside, and then we are going to wait for a reversal. So let's play price forward. There you go. So you can clearly see we have a fair value gap resting right over there. So we want this one to inverse before we can confirm our trade to the downside. So let's look at a few things before we take this trade. We had a big push up. We had a sweep right over here. Here we created highs. We are currently now taking these highs as well. And then we have an order block resting right over here. So let's just make this a different color. So we have an order block resting right over here. So let's see what happens if we take everything into consideration. Price tapped into this fair value gap. We are inside of the order block, and immediately when price went into this order block, we had a big push down. Can you see we also closed below this inverse fair value gap now? The fair value gap that became an inverse fair value gap. Why this one? Because as you can see on this price leg right over here, there's no inverse fair value gap. Then what you want to do, you want to enter your trade right over there. You want to put your stops above these highs. And then let's target a fixed 1 till 5 risk to reward. So as you can see, a 1 till 5 is close by the lows of the first 30-minute candle. So that's a good target. And let's see what happens when we play price forward. And as you can see there, we have our TP. All right, so let's look at one more example. All right, so let's have a look. 9:30 has started right over here. So let's wait for the first 30 minutes to finish. So it will finish right over here. So now we have our highs and we have our lows. So let's quickly zoom out a little bit. Let's see what we have. We have liquidity resting right over here inside of this fair value gap that overlines with the low right over here. We have a nice order block area right over here. A bunch of fair value gaps, as you can see. We took liquidity right over here. Price is currently acting from this order block level right over here. This is where price is currently at, and the high of the orb is also correlating with the high of this order block. So let's see which way price wants to go forward. So we break through to the upside. Now we're going to wait for that inverse fair value gap to form. Here we have our fair value gap. So let's play price forward. Do we get a close? We're still pushing up. There's another fair value gap created right over there. Let's zoom out a little bit. Price is currently in this big move down right over here. There's a nice one that we created right over there. Why are we looking for down? Because according to our rules, we want to get a reversal. So let's see if we close below this fair value gap. Not a close yet. There we have our close. So let's see where price reacted from. Price reacted actually from this breaker level right over here. Let's make this a different color. So this is a breaker block. Price reacted from it. We have liquidity that's been taken. We have a market structure shift right over here. And we closed below. So let's enter our trade and we can put our stops right over here. And let's target a fixed 1 to 5 risk to reward trade. This overlaps with these lows. Let's see if we get it. If we get this one nice and quick, we can target all our way down to here, and that will give us a 1 to 2 risk to reward trade. Perfect with this low right over here. So let's quickly see what happens. And there you go. As you can see, we got our entry right over there. Price came all the way down and smashed our TP right over here. Also closing below this order block. So this becomes a breaker block. And that was a beautiful trade. So nice and easy strategy. We wait for the orb to form, the highs and the lows. Then we just look at, like, for example, what's happening on the left hand side to just get a little bit extra confirmation. And then as soon as we have a sweep to the up or downside, we are going to wait for a inverse fair value gap to form, and then we're going to target a fixed 1 till 2. So that's the strategy. Nice and easy, nice inverse fair value gap. First 30 minutes of the New York Open. Let me know in the comments what you think. Also, go have a look at Flux Charts. Link is in the description. The indicator that I'm using to draw out these opening range breakouts is the Orb Algo by Flux Charts. Also, go check out their premium indicators. Link is in the description. Please leave a like and subscribe, and then I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.